Hola, and welcome to Career Confident Mujer, the podcast designed for jefas and jefitas of the professional world, the first generation professionals. From triumphs to challenges, we're here to share the stories that inspire you to become the jefa of your dreams. Welcome back. I'm so excited to start part 2 of the series talking about my career journey, my career experiences, and allowing you to get to know me a little bit better and understand how we came here today to Career Confident Mujer. And it's been a really good experience. If you haven't listened to part 1 already, listen to part 1. We talk about my jobs from high school to the end of my career and my college for my bachelor's journey. And we ended off with my internships and talking about how this next opportunity really changed my entire career trajectory. Because up to this point in my last year in college, my career goal was to work in PR, to work for the city, plan events. And my last internship turned into me finding my love and joy in higher education. So I'm excited to share with you a little bit more about really the first part of my career where I started in higher ed and has landed me into the positions that I'm in today. So let's get started. We last left off talking about how I had an internship for the city, and that really highlighted my love for doing events. And I thought that that was going to be the internship for the next year. And I was going to really dive into my career for working for the city, right? Well, you never know what opportunities will come knocking your way and what phone call literally you will answer that will get you into different doors. So, in my last podcast episode, I shared how I was a part of a sorority. And in this sorority, I had many leadership opportunities. And like I said, at this time in my career, I loved organizing events, leadership development activities. So one day I get a call from my sorority sister, who's an alumni, and she's calling me, telling me that she has an internship at her community college and she wants to know if I'm available to do it. And the background of this internship was that there was going to be a conference held for students. It was going to be like 3 Fridays where these students would have different leadership conferences. And the internship was to organize the event, organize the guest speakers, and monitor and track the students that participated in this leadership academy. And that was kind of right up my alley with doing events. And I was like, okay, I'm interested. And at this time, the sorority sister and I, she had done a lot of favors for me. I looked up to her. So I wanted to help her out. And let me tell you, I was not getting paid like big bucks, okay? if I When I think about how much I got paid $250 for the entire semester, 3 months, 3 months. And I interned 15 hours a week. Make it make sense, y'all. But there I was working hard, showing up with a smile. And I just loved planning events that at the end of the day, I probably would have done for free. Right. And that's like in the first episode, I talked about how I had already built up my stamina of working for free with internships when I had these odd end jobs of also working at restaurants, also working in different spaces that I could choose and have the opportunity to go towards new opportunities, like with this internship that was only $250 for 3 months, like not $250 each month, like for the whole enchilada, y'all. Okay. So, but that was a great opportunity for me because it opened up so many doors. I'm telling you, I showed up regardless of what I was getting paid. And I loved what I did. I loved connecting with the students, organizing events. And I saw how, like, it was so easy for me because I was already involved in a lot of leadership at my own college. So to work with other student leaders and be in student engagement, it was really aligned with things that I was already comfortable doing. So it made sense. You know what I mean? So that was basically my last term, and I was already going to be graduating from the Cal State that year. Okay. Now, when my hours are finishing up, the dean approaches me and really likes my work effort and wants to hire me on as a consultant and do these same type of like events, right? Remember, my specialty is events. Do events in college planning nights for the entire surrounding district. So there was 8 different schools. So my job would be to go out, have these partnerships with the districts, and have family nights. And I am telling you, I got hired on, and that was an amazing experience. And it was like clockwork. I was like, one week, let's say one week there was an event at a school that evening for a junior's parent night for college planning. I was organizing the event, doing the catering. It was going to be, let's say, that week. I was already meeting also during that week with another high school. So I was planning their event for the following week. So every week I was hosting an event at the same time as planning the next week event and working with the high school personnel from like their career techs, counselors, vice principals, maintenance, everybody to help organize these events. And it was really cool, um, being the main representative from the community college, working with these partners, gathering them together, promoting college readiness. Like that was something that I loved. I literally loved doing that. And I remember when I left that job, like eventually I got moved to another position. I had given like my little speech at the end to all the high school personnel, like at a retreat we were working at, and not we weren't working a retreat we were hosting, and I remember I was telling them, I love this experience. This was my first job. It was my first real career job, right? Like everything else was internships. This was my real first big girl job. And they're like, this was your first job? And I'm like, yeah, this is my first like career job. Like, we would have never known you've handled our multiple personalities so good. If we would have known that, we would have been easier on you, because I'm telling you, they weren't an easy bunch like to get along with, but I like ebbed and flowed with it. Like it's okay. I took on a lot of the work, but like that was really cool experience getting to work out in the community, build those relations. That started my understanding that this entire time, I think as first gen, we only know what we know. We only know the opportunities that are available to us by either seeing it being done by someone else or being informed about it. I would have never have thought that my event planning experience, that my leadership experience in college and in high school would eventually lead me to building those both worlds together and doing events in the higher education space, and knowing that there was an entire field out there that liked that, that appreciated those skill sets. So that's what really started changing me into thinking, well, do I really want to work for a city, or do I want to work for a community college? And where will I have more impact? So after this position, I really knew that I wanted to explore my career in the community college. So I worked with the dean and shared with him how I wanted to move up. So My next job was working within the outreach department at that college, which is the recruitment of students, helping them basically what I was already doing with the college planning nights, but more being on the campus and helping out enroll them into the college, not just plan the activities to inform them about college. So I started working in outreach. Then I worked in the counseling center. Then I worked in a first year center. I was moved all around within this college. I loved this college. And earlier in one of my episodes, I don't know, way earlier, I talked about, being stuck in your career, and we were talking about leaving jobs and crying. And this was one of those jobs that I left crying because I loved it there. I grew so much there, but eventually you reach your ceiling. And as I worked at this college, I would say 5 or 6 years. And the family aspect at this college was great, but I realized that I was moved around a lot, but moved around laterally, right? Like the same position in this department, and then start it in this department, and then start the processes in this department, and then move your skills and, oh, start this place now, but never being the coordinator, always being the specialist, and I knew I could offer more, but I just didn't have the masters to be able to get me to that next step. So I was thinking to myself, like, man, this is really when I'm going to have to take that next step in my career and invest into my education and get a master's. Especially when I learned that some of the counselors at the school were making like $60 an hour. And over here, I'm working like $18 an hour at that time. And they're the ones calling me into their office to teach them how they should work the system and the computer system and do all these different things and help them out so much. And I'm just like, how? You're getting paid 3 times what I make. And the only difference is that you have a master's. Like, sign me up. Where are we getting this master's at? Like, so that was definitely a switch for me, understanding what people get paid, and also understanding that as much as I loved it and it challenged me and I was at home there was eventually a point where I wasn't growing. I was just being moved around. And my skills were definitely being utilized. I was definitely appreciated for my hard work, but I was never elevated. And because of that, I had to realize that maybe that wasn't the place for me to grow, but I was definitely grateful for the experiences that I learned at that place. So sometimes it's bittersweet, right? But I made a decision to go work at a nonprofit that had that coordinator title that I desired so much. And I left the community college field because this organization also helped out students with their education and did that same career and college access that I was used to. So I left working the community college field to work for a nonprofit. And let me tell you, that job really messed with me, really messed with my mind, really, like, I left that job thinking I'm going to add more to my resume. I'm going to become a coordinator. I'm going to be able to work more directly with students. And this is going to make me become the best counselor ever, because at the same time, I was starting my master's program. Okay. So I go into this job and I am an overachiever at its finest. But my boss did not like that at all, at all. And mind you, not that she saw me really, because she worked from home, but was never in the office and really never communicated with us. But it's funny, for that job, I got written up so many different times for the most random things. Like, I think it was definitely discrimination, and a lot of people that work there did not like working there. It was like walking on eggshells. You had to like share your calendar with like multiple people in the office. Everything was timed. Like it was like really eerie. Like you had to eat lunch together at the same table in the conference room, and like it was just weird. It was very weird. And we had to help students get into these like programs, and we would interview them. And a lot of times these students would be going through like different trauma, and these people would be like, tell us more, tell us more. And these students are like crying. And I'm like, take your time. And then I would be talked to afterwards, and they'd be like, Cindy, um, that's part of the process. We want to see how they'll be able to respond to hard times in their life. So you telling them to take their time is not preparing them to be strong individuals. Like, you think them having to relive their trauma is making them strong individuals? Like they've already lived through that. You know what I mean? It's already aggravating me all over again. So I'm telling you, I probably stood up a lot of times for students in that place. I would end up getting written down for the most craziest things, like talking too much in my meetings. That was my evaluations, that I should sit down and be quiet for the first year that I worked there. And although we are asked for our feedback, I should not provide any. I was also told that I violated dress code when I was working in the office, okay? And their air conditioning was on so cold. So I put on a hoodie that they gave me with the organization name on, and I got in trouble for wearing streetwear to the office. I laugh now, but I was just like, when you have to, I laugh now, but it's like, you have to remind yourself, like, I left a college that I loved, that I worked there for 5 years for an organization that was like walking into a haunted house. Like, I was just shook beyond means. I was discriminated against. I was pushed out. I was retaliated against. I was given horrible evaluations. Like, I was so culturally shook in this place that it really messed with me. And I'm telling you, after I got that evaluation, I had this huge like aha moment, because I realized to myself, like, okay, Cindy, you can either stay here for the title like everyone else is and be miserable, or you can understand your worth and your value, and you are not going to water yourself down in this place so that you can make other people feel more comfortable with doing the bare minimum. That part. So I had to realize that even though I had no backup option, I wasn't going to give them any more of my energy, any more of my knowledge, my work. I wasn't going to bend over backwards so that they could spit in my face and like make themselves look good at the end of the day. Like, no, 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 not here, Missy. So I quit that job. I sure did. I quit that job, and I think it was the best decision I ever made. I got, I didn't have like unemployment or anything like that because I quit. So I quit the job. Had a son at that time doing my master's program. And that's when I just picked up like a random job working as a secretary at a high school, and just kind of getting my feet, in somewhere. But I knew I wanted to get back into the community college system, right? So that was a whirlwind of kind of different experiences that I summed up. But let me tell you, me choosing me multiple times, right? In this short period, I had left my job of comfort because I knew I wasn't going to grow there. And even though I loved it so much and I was comfortable and it was like a familia there, I left because I knew I was bigger than the roles that they were placing me in. Then I go for something that I think will be bigger, that I think will have the title and the weight and the responsibilities that I want. And it ends up slapping me in the face and telling me, like, be quiet, sit down, shut up, and don't say anything, yet work for us, do your job, and like, 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 no. So that was really hard. It was really hard. But I think at the end of the day, what it taught me was choosing me will always help me understand who I am and always makes me have a stronger voice and know what I want and what I deserve. And I chose me. And that is what helps me get the next job. So, are y'all ready for this? So I'm there working as a secretary for a high school, right? It's just like a basic job. And it's not where I want to be, but I'm on the hunt for a community college job, right? But I am now looking for that coordinator, director position that I never had before at the previous college, but I know I can do it. So I ended up applying for a job that wasn't like a specialist, but it was something a little bit above. I don't really remember what it was, but it was a title definitely above the specialist, right? So I decided to apply. I apply to this college and I get the interview. I get an interview, okay? I go to the interview and I do good. I do good on the first interview and they invite me to the second interview. The second interview is with the vice president and the dean, right? And so I go into this interview and I'm like ready to go. I want to get back into the community college field. And this was going to be a job within the counseling center, which I had already previously worked like as a specialist in the counseling center. So it was easy for me. So the vice president tells me in this interview, like, I want to be honest with you. I think you might be overqualified for this position. This position is really just a front desk receptionist doing our scheduling. And I believe you might be overqualified, but it's okay. We'll still get to know each other today. I'm like, no worries. So they start asking me about my experience, and I start telling them all of my experience that I've done at the previous community college. And when I'm telling them this stuff, they're then asking me about my job and my responsibilities within this first year center. So I'm telling them what I did, but they're like, would you have made any changes? And at that time, yes, because that first year center was not run like I would have ran the first year center. And I had so many ideas, but then again, I was never placed in that coordinator role there. So I couldn't really be executing those ideas. So I'm like, yes, I do have a lot of ideas. They're like, go ahead, tell us. And so I started like spewing all these things and letting them know my ideas and why I felt like we should reach out more to students to improve their student success and be there to support them in campus engagement and all kinds. Okay. So it was a great conversation. I definitely left the interview that day and I was like, okay, I'm not going to get the job. I'm not going to get the job, but it was good. Maybe one day in the future, something comes up, they'll think of me. Okay. So I was right. The next day, I get an email that they did not choose me for the job. And I was like, pretty bummed, right? I was like, okay, back to the drawing board. But that day I get this voicemail. I didn't answer my phone. I don't know why. I get this voicemail and it's from the dean of the college, the one that I did the second interview with. And then she's like, sorry we couldn't catch you, but I'm going to be at a dinner tonight, but please call me. I would love to talk to you. I need to talk to you more. And if you call, I'll answer your phone call, even if I'm at the dinner. Right. And I'm like, oh my God, what's going on? What's going on here? So then I call and she's like, have you received the email? And I'm like, yes, I received the email. She's like, okay. She's like, well, I want to let you know we didn't choose you for that position because we really think that you're overqualified, but we loved getting to know you and all the ideas that you have. So I want to start a first year center at this college. Do you think that you would be willing to come on part time as a coordinator? And eventually I will try to get this job to be a full time, but you'd be coming onto our campus to start and create the first year center. And I'm like, heck yeah, like that's gold right there. You know what I mean? I wanted that title and that space and that opportunity for me to grow something with my own vision and put it all together and kind of be like my own little boss in the college by creating a place that was my own. You know what I mean? And so I took the opportunity. And this is another one of those career decisions where I think my background in my career of having taken on internships for free, I was not afraid of the job being part time. It was temporary. It was part time for I think like a year to a year and a half. Then finally, I became full time for a year and a half. Um, but being part time, I knew that that was a job that was going to open up so many opportunities for me. So even though it was part time, it was well worth it. I also got another part time job as an advisor for the Boys and Girls Club at that time to oversee different advisors. But that job at that college really showed me that I could have a successful center with over 500 students visiting daily. I got to grow my network, my connections on campus, and really show that if I was given management or if I was given an opportunity to lead a department, that I could do it and I could do it well. And it was definitely a self boost esteem for me. It boosted my self esteem, and it really changed my career in community colleges. And I needed this opportunity, especially after I had felt so defeated with the previous choices that I made and the environments that I landed myself in. This college was definitely a good experience for me. And most of all, I got to learn about good, effective leadership. And that was really important to me. So I think this is a good spot to end in our part two of my career journey. I hope you are enjoying getting to understand like the ebbs and flows of my career. And I hope you're learning that a career is definitely not a straight line. There are many curves. There are many places where you fall off the mountain and you get back up, you go to new mountains, you climb new bridges, like all kinds. But at the same time, if you have that adventurous spirit in you and you know that you have purpose and that it's all part of the adventure and your career journey, I think you get to experience all of these different places and find the joy out of it, find what the lesson is in all of these places. So remember and reflect. I hope that you're reflecting on your own career trajectory and really thinking about all the things that have built you to become the mujer that you are today. Or think about the decisions that you need to make in your own space now so you can become the mujer that you want to be in the future. If you need help, remember, I'm going to be having some group coaching starting and launching in June. So I have informationals and more information on my website or the links below. So get connected with community so that you do not have to do your career alone. Thank you so much for tuning in with me, and I will see you for part three, the final part of my career journey to where I am today as your career confident mujer. Thank you for joining us on this episode of Career Confident Mujer. I hope you found inspiration and valuable insights to fuel your own career journey. If you enjoyed today's episode, don't forget to subscribe, rate, and leave a review. Remember, you are not alone on this path. Take care and remember that you deserve it, mujer.